Welcome, everybody. Really great to see you. Thank you so much for participating today. My name is Susan Barrett, and I am one of the implementation partners with the National Center on PBIS. My name is not on this slide. Dr. Patty Hirschfeld was supposed to be here, but she had a family event, so I am here on her behalf. And I'm going to do a very quick introduction and have Roanoke County come up and talk about their story. I did want to speak first about the learning objectives for this session. The Tiered Fidelity Inventory is an amazing instrument that's been validated, and as you may have heard, we have the next iteration of the Tiered Fidelity Inventory out, the 3.0, and we're really excited. So if you're interested in seeing that as it is aligned with mental health and equity, and is a lot more expansive than the original design of the Tiered Fidelity Inventory. And a part of that instrument is a walkthrough where we have the opportunity to do learning walks throughout the school. We have an opportunity to interview staff and students and team members that are on the team, the PBIS team, and we get an opportunity to go inside the classrooms. And what we're finding is that Tier 1 is not in place unless it's consistently implemented across all of the classrooms, and we're developing those positive, community-centered, relationship-centered places to be. And what I really want you to take away from this session is the fact that the entire district really made an effort to make sure that we built capacity for everybody to know what it looks like and sounds like for every single classroom in the community, to have high leverage instructional practices and incorporate those wellness practices inside. So we want to take you through that journey of what that looked like and sound like in terms of how we really bring true district capacity that's directly supporting schools to implement PBIS with Fidelity. So without further ado, I'm going, okay. I'm going to turn it over to the Roanoke team. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon. Again, appreciate you staying to the end. We knew when we had this time slot that people are trying to get out and all that kind of things. Hopefully you've enjoyed your time in Chicago. This is my first time at a PBIS event, so it's been kind of an eye-opening thing for me. But I did get to go on a gangster tour and a ghost tour, and that was pretty cool. So we're going to talk about TIFI walkthroughs as it relates to our school. My school is in Roanoke County Public Schools. It's Roanoke City. It's around Roanoke City in Western Virginia. It's the largest city past Richmond in Virginia, if you've never been to Virginia. It's called the Star City. It's lovely. Our mascot is the Knights, and so we kind of tie everything to the concept of knight. So you'll see right away we're talking about Live Like a Knight. That is our PBIS program. It's how we branded it for our students, and it's allowed us to kind of use that kind of idea throughout everything we do. So just a snapshot of who we are. My name is Rob Shipp. I used to be a dean of students, so last year was my first year in administration with Roanoke County at Cave Spring, and this year's I got promoted to assistant principal. But I'm still in charge of our PBIS program, our attendance program, and a lot of those things, as well as 10th grade discipline and 10th grade plus teacher instruction stuff. So with me is my partner in crime. She's my right-hand man. This is Kim Heck. She is our life counselor at school. So we partnership counseling and administration through PBIS. And it's kind of, that is our goal, is to kind of take that two-pronged approach to PBIS. It's not about discipline, it's not about rewards all the time, but understanding the full students as we approach the concepts. We also have our Tier 1 program, which is our Tier 1 team is our culture council, and then we have a student voice. I run the culture council, Ms. Heck runs our student voice, and then we collaborate through that. Our Tier 1 program is called Live Like a Knight, and then our Tier 2 program, which we implemented last year, is called Restoring Knighthood. Again, it's a little cheesy, but it works for us. Roanoke County at a glance, there are 4,600 students, 9th through 12th grade. There are 5 high schools, 5 middle schools. The county serves about 14,000 students total. Interesting enough for our county is every school is kind of at a different point. Also, every school is vastly different. Our school is different than the 4 other high schools. Some are rural and small, some are much more urban and big. We're kind of in the southern part of our county in an affluent area, and that comes with its own challenges. We have 1,100 students. We are Tier 1 self-evaluation, which means we've succeeded in our Tier 1 program for the last several years, and we are now starting our Tier 3 services. as well as in introducing our principal, Haley Deeds. She allows me to kind of have free reign, and she's pretty great because she doesn't micromanage what we're doing with the PBIS program, which is very useful for both of us. So, how this is going to work today, we're going to talk through our program, and then we're going to talk about the TFI process for us and how we ended up where we're at. So here's our Live Like a Knight Tier 1 initiatives that we have. Instructionally, we have our classroom matrix, we have our hallway matrix, we have bathroom. Ms. Heck and I do lunchtime games to quiz students. We'll walk around and at the start of football season, we'll do football questions, and we make them as easy as we can so kids can win prizes. But we're engaging with kids during lunch because that's an easy time to be around a table and work with students. We have staff shout-outs where our staff members get to write things for staff, and then we send that out in a weekly newsletter. Student postcards that teachers write to students, and then we pay to mail them to kids, so it's going in their mailbox and their parents are pulling them out. And then I'll let Ms. Heck talk about some of how we tie in her role into our PBIS program.
Hello, thank you for coming. So again, I am Kimberly Heck. I'm the life counselor at Cave Spring High School. It's a really interesting position because I get to provide mental health services directly in the high school to students. And with that, I, of course, am a PBIS coach and do a lot of prevention. So the things that you see at the bottom, the anti-bullying events, the Red Ribbon Week, Expect Respect, those are all events that as a counselor, I'm doing prevention and education anyway, so that's a part of my role. Rob and I decided, hey, let's work smarter and not harder, and let's get the whole school involved in these. And we tie it right back into the PBIS. So the anti-bullying, we just did an anti-bullying campaign. We tied it right back into Be Respectful. We do the Red Ribbon Week, which is an anti-drug campaign. We tie that right back into, let's be safe and responsible. So those are the things that we have fun with. We do the games, we get the kids engaged. I kind of roped him into helping me with this because as part of the Red Ribbon Week, we did karaoke in the lunchroom, and I just needed his help with the karaoke machine. So I said, hey, come help me, and it just blossomed into this partnership and relationship where we get to involve the entire school and get our word out there and get all the kids involved with the great things that we're doing.
Did we skip tier 2? Shockingly, Bruno Mars' If I Was Your Man was the most popular song that week. I think every group sang it at least once in each lunch. So I heard that song probably 6 times. It was a lot. But anyways, you never know. So TFI, we do a walkthrough, two walkthroughs a year. That's how our process works. The county comes in. They send different people from different schools, a part of the team, and then somebody from central office comes with that team and kind of leads it. That's our TFI walkthrough process. You can see our scores on the left, tier 1 and then tier 2. The criteria is given to us at the beginning of the year. After 2 years, we do self-evaluates. There's lots of good things when it comes to these walkthroughs. You do get to go see other schools, so I'll go to another school and walk through their school and kind of evaluate what they're doing. For me, though, as we were going through this, like I was taking the criteria they were giving me and trying to make it make sense to what we were doing in our building. Because how we were doing PBIS in our building doesn't always fit the cookie cutter mold, and I think that's important. So we'll kind of, that leads us to the problem. The problem for us was that our TFI walkthrough, when we did the first one last fall, I didn't think we scored very well, and I was very confused because I thought I followed the stuff and I was trying to showcase what we were doing. We had this big binder we created. I think we stole that, or we used it from previous years, since last year was my first year. It's like a 5-inch ring binder. We were putting all this stuff in it, and I never felt that reflected who we were as a PBIS program, especially for somebody who's just coming in. No, you didn't get to see that. It's a really cool little thing. It didn't reflect what people were coming in and looking at as a snapshot. They were just getting a 8-hour session or 6-hour sessions in my building. They weren't seeing everything else that was going on, and the binder wasn't really reflecting that for us. And so I didn't feel like the TFI walkthrough was serving its purpose to show what we were actually accomplishing in our building. And this is the issue when we come to this. The TFI walkthrough is like a glacier, right? It's just the top of the iceberg. And then everything else we're doing is at the bottom. And it's the stuff underneath the water that nobody sees that is really impactful to students, right? I didn't want the walkthrough to be the important thing in our building. I wanted the PBIS program to be the important thing in our building. And that was kind of where we led into what we were doing. So the solution for us, and I'm using a different PowerPoint than one that was on there. Mine was cleaner, but it's fine. The balancing the TFI walkthrough with our program. That was the goal for us. So that led us to our own, can I switch presentations? So yeah, let's do that. Okay, yeah, there we go. So that led us to the creation of an actually document called our portfolio. So we decided to digitize our TFI walkthrough presentation for the team into a portfolio. And what we did, and we have handouts of this if you would like one. The county gives us tier 1 and tier 2 walkthrough formats. And we take these, if you would like one of these, all we did, and Kim will be more than happy to pass these out. We took what the county was coming in to look for, and we matched to what we were doing in a way that made it reflective and easier for them to understand. And it's not that they're not capable of understanding, but we all know that Central comes into your building, they really don't know what's happening, and they're just looking for things, right? And they're just looking for things that they've seen before. And if you're doing something new, they may not realize how that process is working for you. So we wanted to spell it out in a way that worked for us, made it easy for them to see. And then as we got into tier 2, it allowed us to make better sense of what we were doing for our students. And that was the process for this portfolio system. So we will talk through the tier 1. Tier 1 is easy to showcase. It's all the big things. If your tier 1 program is not seen easily by the people in your building, you're not doing enough things. Tier 1 should be the matrix in the hallways. It should be a teacher-led group with parent on there. It should be all these concepts we've learned from day 1 with PBIS. We just spelled it out. So team composition. We have our team members. We have our student voice. My district requires us to do meeting information through something called tips. So we fill out the tips forms, we dump it in the folder, and they can easily see everything that was going on. There's no confusion. There's nothing that they can mess up with that, right? When we have meetings in our a year to glance is how we operate as all our meetings scheduled out for the teachers. We put that at the beginning of the year. It has every meeting that's ever going to attend on our campus throughout the year. Sometimes we cancel them later, but at least they're there and teachers have it from the start. And then we have our roles for how we're going to meet. We call it Meet Like a Knights as well. So again, we're just spelling it out. Here's our flow chart for our behavioral expectations. This is in our hallways. This is everywhere. This is our matrix. Safe, respectful, responsible. That's our mantra. We end every morning announcement with it. Teachers talk about it in the classroom. Again, these are tier 1 concepts, but I wanted to be able to spell it out in the TFI. And then when we talked about teaching our expectations, how do they know if you're teaching it? So we have our PD listed there. We have our moments where we talk to the kids. But those things aren't done when the team comes in with the TFI. Those are done way beforehand. So you have to be able to showcase all those things. And then we'll let Ms. Heck talk about this. Oh, this is me still. So our discipline process policies, tier 1, we have obviously discipline issues. But we wanted to make it more positive and showcase this is what we're doing. Ms. Heck created this for, what was it, event?
I think it's just teachers asked for positive language.
Teachers asked for positive language, so we included it in there, right? We wanted teachers to learn that you don't have to say no, you can say I want you to do this instead. So that, again, is put into our portfolio. Here's our professional developments, restoring knighthood, how things are going, school expectations. A lot of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory if you're doing. How many of y'all have TFIs in your districts? So you've seen all these things, you've tried to put all this stuff in. We're just showing you our way of doing it. So I don't need to walk through everything that's going on with that. Here's how we do feedback and acknowledgement, staff shout-outs. We link it all. It's all through a SharePoint. It allows the team and the people coming through to see very easily what's going on. And then what we really got to, for us, was how we got to tier 2. And this is where our TFI walkthrough really helped us. How many schools are starting tier 2? Or already doing tier 2? So what we found with tier 2 is how do you monitor what your students are doing so that you know what you've offered them, right? We only have so many services we're trying to provide for students. So this portfolio allowed us to kind of keep better track of the data for our students. The same things, team composition, and we'll let Ms. Heck talk about this. This is yours.
So I think the relationship is super important to keep in mind. When I was talking to the staff about PBIS, I told them that I valued their input so much. They are with the kids so much longer. As a counselor, I'm with them maybe once a week, if best, for an hour or less. So we really wanted to bring the staff involved and say, hey, you're on the front lines. You hear about what happened last night when they come in. You see their peer-to-peer interactions. You're looking at their grades. You're hearing the things that they're talking about, in the hallway, and, you're seeing how many times they ask to go see the nurse or how many times they go to the restroom. So their input was so super valuable in this whole process. And so we really encouraged that relationship. And of course, I said, as a counselor or even as a PBIS team, we may not be able to reflect back and tell you, all the details of what's going on with that student, but we can certainly listen. And so that, we wanted to give that message out, say, come talk to us if you're seeing something, if you think that what we're doing is working, or if it's not working, we can try, other different things. So at Tier 2, of course, I run small groups, but we have many, many interventions that we've tried that we felt was really, really helpful for students. Also, the relationship between counseling and admin is super important. How many counselors do I have out there? None? Okay. So as a counselor, or even as a teacher, you often work in a silo, right? Like you're off doing your own thing, you're in your classroom, you're in the counseling center. Again, you've got confidentiality barriers, especially as a counselor, social worker, psychologist. But I think it's really important to kind of open up and say, I can't tell you a whole lot. Like there's stuff that, I can't tell admin and vice versa. They can't tell me about discipline and whatnot, but we can share and how do we think we can help this kid move forward? What's really going on? You've got a piece, I've got a piece. What intervention do we need to try and what strategy do we need to try? So as we're going through our Tier 2 teams, we try to keep it to that, and we try not to go on and on about a kid. We try to set a time limit and say, what are the issues that we're seeing? What are their barriers? What are their challenges? We've got a whole team across the school, the nurse, admin, counseling, social work, psychology. We've got all those players at the table twice a month, and we're talking about what's working for this kid. If it's working, let's keep it going. Do they need to go ahead and graduate out of our program? Do we need to try something new? So we really try to keep it to a good flow so that we're not wasting time just talking about and spinning our wheels.
And if you operate in a core team mentality, I don't know if you've felt this before, but it ends up being a complaint session or a gossip session about a student, and that's not helpful. You can have those conversations in your office later, but with core team, what we really try to do is eliminate some of the time for that. So students who come up for core team are kind of triaged by Ms. Heck and myself through the eyes of admin and through the eyes of counseling. And when we come into the core team meeting, we are bringing in suggestions and solutions for our students to kind of lead the conversation instead of it being 9 or 10 people around a table talking about a student for 15 minutes and then not doing anything, not implementing anything, and just moving on to the next one. And I think too many times, I saw a lot of people nod their heads, too many times that is what core team ends up, or whatever your Tier 2, Tier 3 team ends up being. And I'm not sure that's a benefit. Yes, do I understand as adults sometimes we need to vent about a kid who's been a problem? For sure. Like that's just human nature. That's not the time for it. And so this is one of the things that this kind of helps us do, is it helps us create how we're going to do this better, and it allows us to kind of have a system put in place that we know and we're all on board with. Here's the screening process. This is again Ms. Heck and myself. We work through this when kids come in through assistance referrals. We have that on everything we send out. Teachers, parents, students, admin, counseling department can all refer a kid. Those emails it gets power automated through Microsoft. If you've never utilized that, it's a great system for Microsoft Forms. It comes to us, and then we triage it and bring it up to core team, or if it's an immediate issue, we deal with it right then. So we have some autonomy with that, but that's our screening process for our request for assistance. If you're not doing a request for assistance, it's hard to get started. It's still not something I think is utilized very effectively, but it's in place, and this is our second year with Tier 2, and I think having it in our TFI and having it kind of set up this way allows us to utilize it effectively. And then we created our own triangle. And this triangle has been a little bit complicated in the district because it created more work for other schools. When we start talking about a larger district, so we have 5 high schools, central office provides tier 3 services for things, but there's 5 schools competing for limited spots. And so what we wanted to do is when we were requesting assistance from Central or suggesting a student be provided with something at the next level, we wanted to showcase that we had done everything we could for that student. So we utilized the normal triangle, and we'll have a better version of this in a minute. And we just set up all of our systems in there, and we showcase what we've done for that student. We make one for any kid or any student that we feel may need some tier 3 services. We start creating this document for them. This allows us to see everything we've done for our students. It allows us to put dates on it. It allows us to put data on it. Now we're making decisions based on what has actually been successful or unsuccessful for students. And then when we send it to Central, they can't argue with us. They can't say, well, have you done X? Have you done Y? Why didn't you try this? And, because they're not in the building, they don't know all the things. And if you're not documenting it and keeping it in a system that makes sense for you, then those things get pushed through the cracks, and then the kid doesn't get the support they need. I don't need to talk about this slide. This is, again, critical features. This is part of tier 2 stuff. And this is back to that same thing. If you look at the presentation that's been attached in the PBIS app, you can kind of dive into this. But you can look through that and you can see like attendance issues. Ms. Brubaker's sent a letter. So we have to do the state letter. Virginia does that. That's part of what we do, but we've also called the parents. We've also scheduled a support meeting. We've looked at the parents and child and said, what can we do to support you getting to school more often? Is there something going on? Do we need to create a 504? Like, we've gone through all those things with our social worker. We've talked with counseling. We've worked with their school counselor on what struggles are you having in the classroom? Is it an academic issue? Is it a social issue? We've shown that we've done those things, right? We've provided schedule changes for kids who are like, AP calculus is killing me. I shouldn't have signed for it. I'm checked out. So let's drop a level. Cool, no problems. We're still gonna graduate. We're still gonna do great. Let's get you in something that makes sense for you. So this triangle allows us to showcase everything that we've done for students. Do you want to add anything to that in a second?
I think the one thing I want to add is that it does take a team. So I went through with this with this triangle in mind, and I went to each player and I sat down with them for a while, and I said, tell me about this kid. What interventions have we tried? What have you tried? What are you seeing? So it took a little extra time on my part and on Rob's part, but it gave us the chance to actually showcase what we were actually doing for each individual student. So when we pushed this up to Central, they said, hey, you guys did great. Like, it was so clear to me, and it was so organized, and it helped us also to go through our process and create this portfolio to say, you know what, in talking to these people, I realized that there are things that they're doing that we didn't even know that they were doing. And so we want to make sure that all the players, the whole team, is able to come to the table and have a voice to say, well, I've tried this with this student. I talked to teachers, I talked to the nurse, we talked to our attendants, we talked to admin and counseling. And so it's really important that we help to showcase the overall holistic approach and to really help these students get to the place that they need to be. And these students, we did get them the resources they needed, and they are doing fantastic. So we just got reports that they're doing absolutely great. So
One graduated last year, right?
yes, one graduated last year. So
and it also helps, Tier 2 is not just check in, check out, right? So if you're doing 2x10s, if you're doing check in, check out, if you're doing small groups, like, you have to be able to have a way to monitor all those things. And I love 2x10s. I think 2x10s are way more powerful at the high school level sometimes, because especially for attendance, when that kid's walking in, I'm just walking with like, hey, you're here today, awesome. Let's go, let's have at it. Like, you can have those quick moments with students anywhere in the building, and they just feel seen and heard. And I think sometimes high school kids like to hide and shy away, but they really want to be seen and heard. And so 2x10s allow that a little bit more, so we utilize that quite a bit, especially when it comes to attendance. It's one of our things we use quite a bit.
Can you clarify what a 2x10 is?
2x10 is 2 minutes, 10 times for 10 days. And you can, Maybe it's a minute for 12, whatever time we want to do with that. But it's a purposeful moment each day that you're looking at that kid and saying what's going on.
Talk about that one kid or multiple?
I do it with multiple, but I do it throughout the day.
Or you do like one kid?
Yeah, it's a one-on-one, and it's informal.
Yeah.
It's at the lunchroom when they're signing up. We have a process for using the restroom during lunch. It's looking at them and being like, hey, your day going well? What's going on? But those things are so informal, but they are part of our structures that we can put into this and really see that we've done those things. Yeah.
You had talked about keeping track of those tier 2 interventions, like a 2x10. How do you go about keeping track of that? It's a great intervention. It is informal. Do you have any ideas?
So it's me who does the 2x10s for attendance because I'm in charge of attendance and I document it.
Just like in notes?
Yeah, I have it in my notes. I know who I'm working on and I have my targets. And I would say that sometimes, 2x10 is 2 by 9.5, like you miss a day or something. I think it is informal, but it's about creating those moments, especially with attendance. We know attendance, it's about relationships. Right. We're coming up. So, yeah. The triangle just allows us to kind of monitor how we're doing things for students. And we don't do this for every kid that gets support. It's really only for those tier 3 kids when we're running out of tier 2 options. The other things for tier 2 kids, we're just monitoring and then we're bringing it back to core team. Are we seeing the things we want to see? Fade in, fade out, whatever we want to do with that, right? So it's really just an advanced thing when we start talking about tier 3 students. But it does allow you to be a little bit more organized. And then we have our intervention tracking tool. This is what we use for our tier 2 kids. It won't pull up right now because it's through my share points, but it has kids' names in it. This is our actual portfolio that we used last year. But it has our groups, it has our pre-tests, it has our post-tests, it has the kids in check-in, check-out, it has the kids in 2x10, it has the starting point data that we had with what we did, like if we set a 3-week timer, what are we seeing 3 weeks later? Are we seeing improvements? When we do check-in, check-out, one of the questions we like with teachers, are you seeing improvement? Like, is this student trending up and down? And then we have the data points as well, because I do think there's a feel, like teachers can see they're the professional in the room. They can see if a kid is doing better in their room. Are they more prepared more of the time? So we like the numbers, but we also like the feel. And this intervention tracking tool that Ms. Heck and I update as we go allows us to utilize that. And none of this is special design. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to create these things. But for us, we didn't have anything like it, so we were just kind of designing on our own. This is a simple spreadsheet with tabs, and I can do some formulas, like they're not super complicated, but it's really just about creating an organizational track that works for what you want to do in your room, in your building. Does that make sense when it comes to TFI? I think too many times, and this was my issue the first walkthrough, is I felt like they really cared about the TFI and I really cared about the program. And I thought there was a disconnect between what they were looking for and what I wanted to provide for them. And so we tried to adjust through our use of this stuff to kind of help create a TFI system that works for us and allows us to benefit our students. So we're not going to keep you till 1 o'clock. If you have questions, we're more than happy to answer for you. This is a simple presentation. It is not something, when Kim and I were doing this, we didn't feel like we were revolutionary in anything we were doing. We were just talking through our process in our building. As a first year administrator coming into a brand new system where tier 1 was going on, tier 2 was being created, I didn't feel like I knew everything that was going on, and that bothered me. So that kind of really started this. It was really funny because we worked on the binder for a while, and then I was like, no, Kim, I'm just going to create a Word document and we're just going to link it. It'll be simple. And so we started working on that, and then I went away for the weekend and I came back and I was like, so Kim, I hated it. And here's this new portfolio system we're using. It took a little bit of time to create it, but now it's a working document for us. And once you create that working document, you can keep updating and utilizing it. But I think it was also my daughter's birthday weekend. Shh, don't tell her. But I was in the basement typing away, trying to work on this. And when I got back, Kim was like, are you crazy? I think it was going to work just fine. And so it's nice that for us, the other thing that this TFI works for, and I don't know where that slide went in this, one of the focuses for for what we're doing in PBIS is we want the holistic approach of students. We know too many times that they come in, and how many teachers anybody administrators, teachers, district people? How many times have you heard the biggest complaint about PBIS is kids get rewards and nothing else? Right? Teachers talk about that all the time. And to be fair, they're not wrong at times. Sorry, they're not. I've been in systems where it was all about the rewards for the kids, and you didn't feel like you were being supported in the classroom building, and the classroom from the building itself. And that's a real problem when it comes to implementation of PBIS, that administrators and people and coaches have to be able to work with and work around. So for me, like with working with Ken, what we really wanted to do is, yes, there are going to be consequences coming from office. Sorry, the district has policy. I'd like to be employed. We enjoy the house we live in, so I'm going to follow policy in our building. That doesn't mean that we're still not going to find the reason why and work on that, right? And the relationship that we're creating, because in our building, the administration office is separate from the counseling office, we felt like a lot of information was not crossing over. And so we worked really hard when creating this TFI program to kind of bridge the gap between what's best for our students and give consequences and give supports. And so this helps us kind of document all that kind of stuff. So kind of final thoughts. I'm a band director by trade. I was a band director for 20 years. Anybody here was in a band at any point in life? Love it. So band directors, we get lots of feedback, but it's weird because we like hand them our music and say, we're going to play this, go ahead and judge us, right? And it's a weird experience showing somebody what you're going to do. And a lot of band directors shy away from that. I was never that. Like, if you want to judge me, let's bring it. So the same thing with TFI. If they're showing you the criteria, bring it on. We're going to show you what we're doing and we're matching it. Don't be afraid of your TFI system. It's there to help you. But also don't be afraid when somebody comes and says, hey, have you thought about this? Have you looked at this? And PBIS is so personal for those of you implementing it in the building. We get really defensive when something's not going well sometimes. We really get very defensive, and the TFI sometimes puts a number on it, and then we're hurt because it's not what we thought it was going to be. And that's a problem. So don't be afraid of our TFI system. Allow your district to come in and look at what you're doing. Open your doors wide and say, this is who we are. What can we do better? Because it's only going to benefit kids in the long run. Then make it your own. You can't do what Cave Spring does. Your kids are not Cave Spring kids. Our kids are not your kids. Our teachers aren't your teachers. We're all different. Every area is different. Roanoke, Virginia is a unique place. And 20 minutes south of a major city, I live on a big dairy farm. It's a unique place, right? Like, my wife's a dairy farmer. We live on a farm. So you get kids from vast different places and different parts of life. And so you have to be able to develop your system, your PBIS, your TFI system for your kids and how it works best for you. So make it your own. Look in your mirror. What do you want to represent in your TFI for people who are coming into your building? I love to live like a knight. It was already there when I got there. I love it. I am cheesy. I was a band director. We love some cheese. So we came up with the Reunites. That's what we call our check-in, check-out program. Restoring Knighthood is our ISS program. We have a reflective sheet in there. We call it Restoring Night. We have like it all up in there. It's all graphicked out. We do things like Neon Nights was our homecoming theme. I mean, like, we live this night moniker, and we really enjoy it, and we try to tie everything back to it. We use the TFI reporting to self-evaluate as well. We do this all the time. If something's not working, why keep doing it? If check-in, check-out is not working as it's implemented right now, and your TFI is not showing that it is, branch off. Don't be afraid to make a different choice. I think we were not super happy with how check-in, check-out went out last year as our first year out with it. We've adjusted it for this year. We've made changes. It's going to be reflected in there. But don't be afraid to just to let the numbers show what they are and use that data to influence how you're going to do your process. That's what the TFI is for. And the other thing is, think outside the box. It's okay. Like, not a lot of our schools were using 2x10s. I love it. I love talking with students on a one-on-one basis. Teachers don't always see that either. They don't think as admin you're doing that. Yeah, we're talking to kids. Sometimes it's not always pleasant. It's okay. We had a really great conversation with a student just last week who's been struggling. And so I walked her to class and we talked about, like, she's got to make good choices. She's going to be an adult. She's going to have to to rise up, and we said, we're here for you, we will support you. But you also have to choose for yourself too. And I think 2x10 allows those moments to happen organically instead of sitting in a stuffy office. So that's my 2x10 kind of speech on that. So that's our TFI system, how we've utilized the portfolio. It's all through a SharePoint. All the documents are linked into the PowerPoint itself. If you have an ITRT, they can help you with that if you're capable. Ours are read-only, no download, no copy, no edit. So people who are coming in, they can't actually take our stuff or look at it and kind of manipulate it. We'd like to be controlling. If they want it, we'll offer it to them, but we'll do it a different way instead of messing up our working documents. But this is how PBIS works at Cave Spring, and we're still adjusting it as we go. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay. And thank you so much for staying to the end. When we got this time slot, I was like, oh, that's crazy. But it's just, PBIS is one of those things that, this is the one slide you didn't see earlier. I worked really hard on this. Thank you. Thank you. Canva is amazing. I've used it a lot this year. It's just fun. Pep rallies and things. Hopefully you're having fun with PBIS. If you're not having fun with PBIS, I'm sorry. I love the cafeteria stuff we do. All right, if you don't have any questions, that's all we have. If you'd like to see more of our portfolio and see the other things, I can show it to you. Thank you all so much. Safe travels back to wherever you're going, and have a great year.